Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your host, Kim Wanup. Thank you so much to everyone who's been subscribing to the podcast. It's been a great summer of interviews, and I'm really encouraged by your emails saying how much you enjoy my guests and the show, so thank you. If you have any questions, you can contact me through the website decoratingpagespodcast.com. I'm starting work on the film this fall, so I don't know if I can keep this pace up, but I'm going to try because I'm having so much fun, and it seems like you are too. On this episode, I'm talking with On-Set Dresser Jordan Steinberg. As a set decorator on a TV show, I am usually prepping an episode and shooting an episode at the same time. One of the most important jobs to me is to open the set, which means I am there just before they start shooting a new set. I'm there to tweak any last-minute changes, such as moving furniture around for the flow of the actors, for the dialogue. I'm there to discuss any options that the director and the production designer might need. And it's vital because you are there to protect the set that you just decorated. One of the main things that I do is review the set with the on-set dresser. The on-set dresser is my artistic eye once I leave the set. I think of them as the defender of my set. Plenty of times, items will get struck because the set has become too crowded for the shot, or maybe the lamp is too tall, or the rug is getting in the way. So the on-set dresser will strike them. The on-set dresser also keeps the integrity of the set that has been designed and decorated, and that's really important because we've left. So they're there to protect what we have done. I met Jordan when I came onto the 4th season of Parks and Rec. He had already been on the show since season 3, and luckily we have been working together ever since. He has a great eye for the canvas of the screen. You really have to be artistic to be good at this job. The composition of the monitor is different from what the set may actually look like. He gets to be there for every turn of the camera, when they do close-ups, when they go wide, and he needs to be there to have the continuity and work with the script supervisor to achieve that. Jordan has worked as a production designer, a set decorator, an art director on some small projects, but has also worked on films such as Old School, Collateral, Flightplan. He's been the on-set dresser for Flightplan, Evan Almighty, A Single Man, Mad Men, Transformers, Parks and Rec, The Good Place, and is currently shooting Sunnyside for NBC. I hope you enjoy. You have worked on such films as Old School, Collateral, Flightplan, also an on-set dresser on Flightplan.
Correct.
Evan Almighty, A Single Man.
Yes.
Mad Men, Transformers, yes. Parks and Rec,
yes.
The Good Place.
Yes.
VEEP.
Correct. Love. Because all this stuff's not on my IMDb.
I know.
Because years ago, when IMDb first was around and I first got a computer, it was pretty much there already.
Right.
It's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I first learned about it, I was like, oh, cool. And I added a couple things that I had done then. But that was 20 years ago, probably.
Yeah. That's
so
when
I
it
have
first
not
started,
updated anything since then. So that's why.
So these are just people have updated it for you.
Yeah, or maybe productions do it sometimes, but maybe IMDb. I don't know how that information, because when I first learned about it, I met this person and I didn't know it. I hadn't known about it. I had a computer, but I didn't know about IMDb. And she'd looked me up and said, "Oh, you worked on so and so." I was like, "How did you know that?"
Right.
It was some little movie that I worked on, and she went on to IMDb, and somebody had put it up, and that was the first time I ever heard about it.
So do you shop a resume around, or you've basically gotten work just from word of mouth?
Word of mouth. I haven't sent down a resume in years,
right?
Many years,
and that's
because I'm always attached to you. You know,
well, or
so you're out there getting the job, you know, and so I don't do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Very infrequently, and when I do get a different kind of job than on set, like sometimes I'm an art director.
But sometimes I've done projects without you because I'm mad that you're not available, and then I hire other people. It's very hard to find a good on-set dresser.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Someone who works with the crew well.
Most guys don't want to do it, first of all, just to begin with. I mean, that's one thing. You have to try it first.
Right.
You know, no one wants to go. No one wants to be near the set, ever.
No.
Ever.
You're
and I was like that, too.
Yeah.
I was like that.
Because it's the pressure.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
all
right?
this stuff is going on, and you feel like you might be in the way, and
People
it's all
calling your
that
name.
shit. Yeah. So you really have to get a mindset for that job, and it's a unique job.
Don't
An
you
on-set
think
dresser.
you have to surrender to your time?
Yeah, no, you're locked in.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere, and the production could go like yesterday. I mean, this week has been pretty crazy for this show.
Yeah, it has.
Normally, regular shows are 12 hours a day or whatever, which is another problem I've had over the years, because if I was just on the swing gang, I'd be getting 60 hours a week.
You know how many hours you're basically
you get
gonna
60
have,
hours a week, and
overtime.
sometimes it's casual, sometimes it's busy.
Yeah.
And it's a different vibe for the whole thing.
You're right.
But so when I'm on the front lines, I feel kind of dissed a little bit, because like I'm on the front lines, like fluffing up the frame, like I'll put the plant in a little bit more, doing this, and I'm there engaged in what's going on, making the thing, right?
Right.
But I feel that I'm kind of financially I'm not. I should be financially rewarded.
Yes.
Not penalized because I'm on
agree.
the front lines. So I could be on the swing gang. I get 60 hours a week. I'm lucky to get 50 hours a week nowadays.
Exactly.
Everything's changed. Everything's quicker, multi-cameras, handheld, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's the thing too, because you think, oh my God, they got a 12-hour day, and you might, but a lot of times, and it's in the best interest for producers and everyone to have a crew that's quick, because you get through the scene quick, you get through that location quick. You're not going to pay for extra time on location. You have to pay extra for hours to go, for actors to go over.
Efficiency is important. You got to go.
But you, and it's an example, are getting screwed pay-wise.
Correct.
Because you get paid for what you work.
Right, the hours.
Right.
Which is a whole... I don't even care about all that. When I'm on the front lines, I feel like I shouldn't be penalized for that. No. I don't care about the hours. That makes no difference to me.
I said this in the intro, that you're the eyes when the decorator leaves the set.
Yeah, totally.
You work hand in hand with props, but you are the defender of the look that the production designer and the decorator that we've left the set.
Right, you're gone. On to the next one.
You're our representative.
Yeah.
And we depend on you for composition of the frame.
Yes.
And there's plenty of DPs who are into it too, but there's plenty of DPs who aren't. And artistically, they have what they are looking for, but maybe not the character pieces that we're looking for.
Right.
So that's your main job, and you are exceptionally well at it.
Well, I'm sure it's your mind rests easier if you have someone you can trust to, they'll do the right thing in the frame.
Yes.
And, make it look right and follow what you wanted to begin with.
Because there's nothing worse than, and I will say this, working with other on-set dressers, especially because it comes to mind a pilot I did. And pilots are really hard. Yeah. And it's timing and money, and they want it to look for $1 million for $10, and you're doing your best. And I remember putting so much effort into this character set.
Yeah.
And then watching the dailies, and the on-set didn't it's as easy as like, hey, just make sure we see this if you can.
Yeah.
Or I sort of expect like, oh, what their cutting pieces are.
Sure.
You have a sense of that, and there was nothing there that he had options and didn't use them. And it has always stuck in my mind that I'll never hire that person again, because obviously you weren't into it. You have to be into it.
Yeah, you have to be engaged with the thing, and you can't just wait till they call you. Oh, we need the couch move now. You have to know before. There. You have to be proactive. Yeah. You can't just wait back until you get called.
And know now, like, because parks, a lot of the cameras were on sticks, as they call them, like little tripods. So there wasn't a ton you moved a lot of shit. But I think now when you have dolly tracks and when you
it's
have
different.
It's different.
When they do handheld shows like Parks and Rec or The Office, I didn't work on The Office, but shot the same way. they don't mind going around the table because it makes it more real.
Right.
You know, when there's dolly track, you just move the table.
Yeah.
But you don't, when it's all handheld, they're just running around, and they don't mind going around the couch because it makes it feel like the
you're
documentary style that they're doing.
Yeah. Which VEEP used to be that way. In the very beginning when you watched it. It was that way.
And I was surprised by that because when we got the job for VEEP, I hadn't seen the show yet at all.
Oh, wow.
And so I went and watched them all, and I thought, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I imagined it, by the time we were there, it was, you know, it's a more studio mode with dollies and everything.
It got a little more controlled than that documentary style. But
you know what? I think people respond to that documentary style. It seems real.
Yeah.
You know, like
you're
so
in
much
the
stuff
room.
is like that.
You're in the room. Yeah. I think it's great too as a viewer.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're in the room or you're privy to something you shouldn't be in on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why The Office works so well.
Yes.
Because when they would give those side looks to the camera, you felt like you were in the room.
Yes.
They never really broke that wall with VEEP, but it was still like a documentary style and made, I think, the sets look more real.
Yeah.
Because of that type of camera work.
But for instance, on The Good Place, it worked well with the dollies and stuff. It's a different feel to the show. It's more appropriate for that, you know.
The smoothness and the pull-ins.
Yeah, and I was surprised by VEEP, actually, that I would imagine it to be more formal and dollies and, you know, because there's formal environments. You're always in ballrooms and you know, nice offices. But it was like that, and I liked that. I thought it was great.
Now, I know that you have an incredible artistic side also, personally, out of work. So how did you get into on-set dressing?
Well, I moved out here from New York City, and I got a call. I didn't have any work. I was a busboy. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. This is over 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. And my Uncle Tony, who's a year younger than me, so he's kind of like brother, he had moved out here before me and was working for Roger Corman and becoming an assistant director. He worked at, first he was crafty, and then he was this, and that's how you did it at Roger Corman.
Yeah.
A long time ago. And then so he called me up and said, oh, this art department needs help. And I was like, art department? Okay. I went to college for painting, art. You know, I've always done that stuff. Yeah. And so I was like, art department, okay. I didn't know what it was. So I went into Roger Corman Studios and in Venice and got thrown into it. And I wasn't a set dresser or a construction person or an art department person. It was everything. And it was like high school.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm building walls and putting 1x3s and Luan together.
It's fun.
Yeah, it was amazing.
At the time, it's fun.
And I thought I was doing great. I was getting $100 a day. I couldn't believe it.
You're a millionaire. Turkish millionaire.
Yeah. So I quit my busboy job. Because at the busboy job, I was doing a 4-hour shift, right?
Yeah.
And it was shit work, like you're lifting restaurant work. You know that stuff. It's horrible, but it was a fancy restaurant. It was a nice place, and my friends were the managers. And
that's an even harder gig to get in Hollywood, really.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate to have some connections already getting here. So I worked at this fancy restaurant called The Olive, and it was on Fairfax. It's not there anymore. It's the Farmer's Daughter Motel right now.
Oh, yeah.
It was in that building there, but it was a really nice restaurant. Mm-hmm. And so I worked there, but I was working a 4-hour shift. And I got about $100 for that. You know, I was like, okay, you know, I did my work, whatever. And then I went to Roger Corman. Then I got the gig at Roger Corman, and I was doing a 16-hour day, 4 times, 4
times as much.
12, 16, yeah, 4 times as much time, and it was much more physical labor and crazy stuff. I had to use my brain more. And it was $100. That's what I got. The same amount of money for 4 times as much time.
Didn't matter.
I took that. I'd rather do that.
Didn't matter, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather do that. So I started doing that.
Then you were hooked.
And then, so I did a couple shows doing everything in the art department at Roger Corman, and then I was the decorator at Roger Corman. So I moved up.
You moved up.
Moved up very quickly. And so I was decorating, and it was funny because yesterday we're shooting at the bridge set, the black and all that.
Yeah.
And there was that round desk, and we piled up frogs everywhere. And it was like and I feel like this job has kind of stunted my growth as an adult because I'm constantly doing ridiculous things. Ridiculous things.
Well,
like piling up frogs to make sure the camera could see the frog properly.
Right.
And doing all that. And then it brought me back to when I originally started doing this stuff.
But that's creative.
And I was all of a sudden I was the decorator on a Roger Corman movie called Flight of the Dove. And we had a police station set. And I didn't know, I mean, I was just learning about all this stuff. And so I was at the prop house, and we had, a couple characters were police, featured characters. And it wasn't scripted or anything. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this guy collect frogs. I just made an arbitrary choice.
I've done that. No, you have to.
Yeah, it's kind of subversive because no one's thinking about this. I just decide on this character trait on my own.
Yeah.
And the camera might see it, they might not. You don't know.
Yeah.
But so I got a bunch of frogs, and so it just reminded me of that yesterday.
In a weird way,
job this is.
Weird way, it keeps you sane.
Yeah.
From doing 20 bullpen desks sometimes.
Yeah. It makes it fun, and
you
and then you're thinking of a subplot. And it's part of it.
I forget which decorator it is, but she would sit down at the beginning of every project and write a background story.
Yeah.
And
it has nothing to do with what they wrote.
No.
I mean, you're going on your own.
Which is, I find that terrifying because I didn't create this character.
Right.
Yet I am creating this character.
You're infusing it with
and that
stuff.
I only heard the story maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and I was like, first I thought, well, the ball's on her. Mm-hmm. But then I thought, well, why don't I have the right? I have the right to do that. Yeah. I'm creating the character.
But it is kind of a subversive, sneaky thing because the writer and the director, they're not thinking about that. They're thinking of totally different things.
Well, that's my fear, that I would get it wrong.
Right, but you can't really.
No.
I mean, how could someone be pissed if, you crazy? That guy collects frogs?
Yeah.
Are you nuts?
Yeah.
It's not such a big deal.
Yeah, it's true.
And the camera might not even see it.
But how funny how little things bring you back to when you began.
Yeah, it totally bugged yesterday, just yesterday.
It's full circle.
It was nuts with the frogs yesterday. And this kid was hired as the animal wrangler. I've never seen this kid before. He was a young kid. He was probably 20. And he had a real frog, and we put it in there after we shot the scene, and then we did an insert of the frog. And I can imagine this kid, they didn't tell him what the scene was, I'm sure. They just rented the frog from him, and he drives up, and all of a sudden he's in this black bridge set with Ted Danson and piles of frogs. It's like, wow, this is just it's crazy. And crazy stuff just happens all the time.
But that's another thing. A lot of times you can't tell vendors what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, especially this.
I've sent fake scripts to product placement people. Because it's too sexual or too violent.
Yeah.
They won't give you the free beer.
Yeah, they won't give it to you. Yeah.
So you doctor the script.
Yeah, you have to.
They don't know.
So you started with Roger Corman.
Correct.
And there really is you're a jack of all trades when you work.
Oh, yeah,
that
you're
type
just
of thing.
thrown in. Like the crafty guy. He became the director.
So how did you get to On-Set?
Well, let me think. I think my friend Hector was an on-set dresser, and once I got into the union, he got that job Flightplan. That was a while ago, that Jodie Foster movie. And there was 2 on-set dressers on that. I was one of them.
For the plane?
For the plane. Well, because a lot of times grips sometimes take out the chairs.
That's the joke of you think it's only a plane, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to move around.
It's a lot to do. But that was probably my first real on-set gig. No, actually, maybe bedtime stories. Because I met a prop master, and my friend Brad was the prop master, and he knew the decorator, and they were close friends, and we became pretty close. And he said, hire Jordan. And then I just was an on-set dresser after that. I was working for Nancy Gilmore, and now I forget everybody's name. Whatever.
Well, you do, I set up the set, and then when you come in, I always hope to have little extras if you need them, little cutting piece, whatever. Hopefully, if you need extra, it's there. I hope I have you covered. For instance, you
had an extra table of frogs yesterday.
Yeah.
We used every single one.
Oh, good. See? So I always try when I can to give a little extra. But what is the interaction that you have on set with the prop master and the prop department? Because you interact. Close. Yeah, you're basically the bridge.
We're a team,
You're the bridge.
basically.
Yeah.
Especially, I've been with Julie. Julie and I are on set together all the time, and we basically cover everything.
Yeah.
And if she needs help and
Julie
I need help,
is
she's assistant prop master.
Yes.
But she's on the set all the time.
Yes.
And their team is running around bringing her stuff if she needs it, and we all help each other out. We work very closely with them.
Yeah.
And have been this season is our 12th season with Morgan and David on different shows.
Wow.
And it started when one season before I met you.
So you came into Parks season 3?
No, I came in before season 1. Before we even shot the pilot, we shot a promo thing with Amy for the Super Bowl. It was before the pilot.
Oh, nice.
And then we shot the pilot, and then we did the season, and then Amy Wells started it out with Dan Bishop as a production designer.
Right.
And then she left, and Julie Boulder took over after season 2. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was on Mad Men working, and the season was about to be over, and I heard that Parks and Rec got another season. And so I called Julie Boulder directly.
Because they were touch and go every year. They never knew if they were going to be picked up.
because Amy was either pregnant or they didn't know.
They didn't know.
It was all up in the air. And they did a 20-episode season 1 season, 12-episode 1 season. It's like all a big mess. Yeah. But so I called Julie Boulder directly because I had worked for her briefly on a remake of Helter Skelter.
Oh, yeah.
I called her up and I said, hey, I did season 1. I know Steve Day. I know the DP. And I know all these people. And we all get along. And she's like, nope, I have somebody else. And so I didn't get season 2. And I didn't get season 3. And I was about to do Batman. I got hired on Batman. I forget
Christian
which one
Bale,
it was. But this
Christian Bale Batman?
Maybe. I don't remember. But we were going to Pittsburgh. I was supposed to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was shot in Pittsburgh. Or part of it was, at least. I think... well, anyway, I met the production, I met the decorator, and I saw all this stuff. It was a big deal. Yeah. And I was hired. I was going. And then Ian Phillips called me up one night at about 10 o'clock at night. He sounded a little tipsy. I think he was at a party or something. And it was called me a little late. And he said, Jordan, we want you back on Parks and Rec. And I'd known Ian from Single Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was working for Dan Bishop at the time.
Right.
And so I immediately said yes. And so I had to call up Batman the next day and say, listen, guys, I can't, because, Batman would be a great gig. It would probably be 9 months of work, really busy, and make tons of money. Out of town, per diem, everything. But then when I thought about it, I was like, Parks and Rec, they could go for 5 years. You don't know. Yeah. So I said yes immediately. And you had been hired as a decorator.
Thank God you did.
And I came in and met you guys. That was season 4 that I came back on. Yeah. So I missed season 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
And so did all the rest of Parks and Rec with you and other pilots in between. Yeah. But this is my 12th season of a show with Morgan and David.
That's great.
Between Parks and Rec,
it just shows
VEEP, and The Good Place. Not even counting all the other ones.
Right. Yeah. It shows what good producers they are, that they try to keep good people around.
I like them a lot.
They're really, really good guys. Yeah. And I've talked to many.
And I'm so sad that this is ending.
I know.
And it's emotional right now.
Yeah, it is. We don't want to give too much away about it. But it is.
Just the fact that it's ending. It's just,
It's sad. This will be the 3rd show I'm on that I've been here for the end of it. And this seems like sad.
Yeah. Like VEEP was too.
VEEP.
But we came in late.
Yeah. VEEP was sad. Though, I don't know, there's something about, like, it needed to end. You knew, like, this was the end of it. This feels like, it's being ripped from us or something.
Well, VEEP wasn't as sad because it's so inhuman. And it's like everything is inhuman about it.
Yeah, it's true.
This show is all about human,
Let me ask you this. Talk a little bit about the continuity in scenes and how, like, your interaction with the script supervisor.
It's very important. Yeah. I mean, some shows it's more important.
You're
than
not
others.
leaving coffee cups.
No.
You're not leaving Starbucks
made a joke about that.
No, Adam Rao, our art director, yesterday was on my ass all day. He's like, please just leave a Starbucks cup in the back. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And then in my head, I was like, or could it be like one of the Australian coffee cups, just as like a twist? And then I was like, no, because I would be so mad at Jordan if he left a coffee cup. Like, I'm not deliberately going to do that.
No, that's the main thing you look out for. Stuff left behind
Water
by the
bottles.
people. Yeah, so people are slobs.
Mm-hmm.
Crooked pictures, bad drapery, bad pillows. You really have to look out.
Seams and lamps.
Because other people move stuff, and you turn around for a second, and things get messed up. I remember there was one episode of Parks and Rec. It was the Galentine's Day episode, I think, and where we had balloons in the shot.
Oh, yes.
And I was freaking out because one of the balloons wasn't as good, and I was like, I was having anxiety about it, and I watched it, and it was fine.
It was fun.
But that happens all the time.
They cut it.
If you care about it, you're gonna be anxious about it.
Yeah, but it is something like a reset, or you tell us like this is a hot set.
Yes,
we're coming back to it. Don't move anything.
Yes, I did that day before yesterday. To David, I called David and Michael, and I said, "Don't touch anything in there," because we didn't get the last bit of one of the. Usually, we'll work until we finish a scene.
Right.
But we were going late, and they decided to cut it, and we'd finish that bit of it the next day, which is not common for us to do that. So I told Dave, don't touch anything.
Because my crew will come in and reset in the morning, usually. And clean up.
Dust it up, yeah.
So it's a huge note. It's a huge part to tell us, don't touch anything.
And it's really important to stay in communication with you guys. I mean, because everything could hit the fan on set. You don't know.
Yeah, like, you know what? They're turning around. We don't
have stuff.
We don't have this. Where is it?
Yeah.
I feel like I should knock on wood. I used to get those calls a lot more.
From me?
Maybe not from you, but maybe on phones or something like, "Hey, we don't have this," or whatever. Or, they're going to do this now.
I try not to call that often.
Oh, I shit my pants. Every time I see your name on the phone, I shit my pants because something is wrong. And you know that.
I try not to
now, when you pick up your everything's okay.
Yep,
it's like you're a parent. Like, everything's okay,
don't
but
panic.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Is there, with Scripty, is there a lot of by scene interaction? Do you think, or is it more like?
It also depends on your relationship with the Scripty. For instance, with Valeria, I've known her for longer than I've known you.
Yeah, a long time.
And so we have a rapport, and I think she'd be more worried if she didn't know the on-set guy or didn't have a relationship with them. So I think I put her mind at ease a little bit.
Right.
Because she has a lot of stuff she's thinking about.
And she knows, we try not to put clocks on the set also.
Yes. I have lost some clocks for Valeria and other Scripties. That happens a lot.
Stinks sometimes because if it's a mantle or
I try to just
like
take the battery out or,
Yeah.
I want to leave the stuff that's on the set, because it was there for a reason. And I don't go to the meetings, and I don't, have the planning, and I don't know what's preparing and all this stuff. So I assume what's there should be there.
Yeah.
But sometimes, to help out somebody, you change something or move a lamp for, lighting if you have to do this. I mean, it's so many variables.
I know one project I was on, you were with me, and they took this really wide shot, and the on-set dresser was like, "Look, we don't have enough dressing. They want to go super wide, like they want to do it." And it was like the last day, and it Spoils of Babylon, and I was at my last rope. It was the hardest thing to do. It turned out beautiful, and I'm so proud of the work and the DP.
So you advance notice about this, so you ran out and got more stuff?
It was like, oh, we want to shoot all of this now, and we only have 2 desks. It was 2 desks, but we want to shoot this whole wall and everything. And I was like, I flipped, and I was like, all I have is some plants. I don't have anything else. I don't have any money. I'm in Long Beach. I don't have a truck. I don't have any guys. I don't have it.
Sometimes you have to scrape it together.
The DP was like, well, maybe your on-set could just, and I was like, he's not doing anything. Move the frame. Like, I'm done playing around with you guys.
You have to insist upon it.
I've been sweating this project the whole time. Just bring in the frame for me, please. Like I begged them, and he was like, "All right." That was it. And all he has to do is say, "All right," and then the guy didn't have to move stuff around. I do hate to ask you to double play things. It happens, but because you never know, because now we do 4 cameras sometimes.
Often.
So it's not like they're shooting one side and then going to shoot the other. They're shooting the conversation as it happens with both people. So you really can't double play things anymore.
Not
in
as
our
much.
world.
Well, in separate sets. Like, bring it from this set.
yeah,
When
yeah.
we're done in that set,
Yeah.
bring this thing
Like
over here.
at the mansion the other
Yeah.
day, double played some artwork.
Yeah.
Bonus
and
if anybody
flowers.
can
I'm moving
find it.
flowers around.
Yeah.
But, that's just what you do. And you can't anticipate everything. And they always say, oh, we're not going to look this way. That's when they're really going to look that way.
Yeah. No, we know that. I always hated, too, with... I hate when I sort of hand the set over to you and then it starts to disassemble. That's the biggest panic of like half of the room now has to be undressed for all the cameras to come in.
Especially when you have 3 or 4 cameras.
Oh.
Half the room's gone. Has to leave.
And you have to do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes...
But everyone jumps in, to be fair.
Yeah.
Especially on this crew. I love everybody so much. The camera guys jump in. They grab... The crafty guy will grab everybody.
Yeah.
PAs. I mean, everyone's tremendous. And with Julie and props and everybody, it's just a collaboration. So
because I do feel like you're alone,
and
the party scenes and everything. We're like, should we leave, guys? Is it okay? Like, how
well,
are we
the
gonna
thing with that, it's
but...
great when a guy is left with me. I love the help and I love the company, and but the thing about that is they literally have to be in my back pocket at all times, like literally right next to me. Or else they're not much use because by the time I move the couch, I go find him. It's already done.
Right. It's so
quick. Because fast.
Yeah.
Like I sometimes don't get there in time for the couch to move.
Right.
It's already gone.
Right.
How
do you prefer TV or film?
Not really. It's pretty much the same for me. Film is a little slower pace. But I don't find that better. I mean, I like the crazy pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Keeps the
it's
day
adrenaline
going.
And you're going. I mean, like I worked on Transformers. That was insane and dangerous. I loved it. I thought it was
debris
great.
And all that car
debris,
shit.
I'd go home after a day and take a shower. It's black because they have soot stuff going everywhere.
Oh, my God.
And explosions and Michael Bay screaming. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
What's your worst nightmare? Like, what's your set that you like? Oh,
I don't like hospital sets that much.
No, nobody does.
Police stations aren't great.
Everybody's,
no, they're not great. Strip clubs, not so great. Because that's what I did in the beginning when I first started. It's Roger Corman. It was all strip clubs, hospitals, police stations, jails.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's so weird because it is like that period when you start out. It must be those are the cheap sets to rent for production, so all the stories have to interweave. Like there's that a couple places that you go to this huge building and they already have standing sets.
Yeah,
we have
we used
a hospital.
To shoot at all those all the time.
Dos Carlos. We have a courtroom.
The Herald Examiner.
Herald
building.
Examiner was
Lacey Street. We
yes,
used to shoot at all the
so
time.
Gross. All these
just shoot at
places
all those
gross.
places, all of them.
Because they have every set already standing. You just plunk in your little court. Yeah,
they all have a courtroom.
Hospital, police station, apartment.
Yes.
Like the Herald Examiner used to have those apartments upstairs, which I had learned that Hearst, that was where he kept his mistresses.
I don't doubt it. There's a lot of history in that building. The railing where the strikers were banging it. It's cool and disgusting.
We do get to see some wonderful locations.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we shoot in some great places.
And then also sometimes we get to go out of town, and that's fun.
Yeah.
It's a really unique, crazy job, and I love it. I've been doing it half my life now. I'm 52 years old. I feel like a kid still.
I know. I've been doing this 14 years already, and it's like that.
Yeah. Oh, totally. 10 years went by like nothing.
Yeah. What sets do you love to do? One where nothing moves?
That's a really good question. Like, I mean, I don't know. Let me think about the sets on this show in particular. Like, which sets did I like? I liked Chidi's current set, but it was so small. It was hard to work in. So, and shit, it's hard to say. I don't know what would be the criteria for me to like the set. I mean, I like great furniture and design stuff, and I'm very into all that stuff. But it's not always appropriate for the character, Right. You're more concerned with that.
I think, do you like working on location or on stage?
Well, sometimes when you're on stage, for multiple days, you're like, I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out in the world.
Yeah.
But then there's negative things to that. I mean, because you can't get your stuff close and you have to move and it's difficult.
Yeah.
But I like both. I enjoy it. Each one is a break from the other. You know what I mean? Like if you're on location finally we're back at home on stage.
Right.
It's like that.
That home.
Yeah. It's coming back home and being here, and I just like the whole group of people, and it's just fun.
We do, in the shows that we've done together, have a lot of parties.
Banquets. Yeah, those aren't my favorite also. Although you would think it'd be really hard, but when there's 100 people in a room, you can't really see much other stuff.
No, that's the bummer of it.
Yeah, for you. I mean, you've done all this stuff. When you see it, and the way we shoot stuff is, on their faces, and especially in a party when there's a sea of people, there's not a whole lot for me to do. I mean, I'm pushing stuff away usually.
You're getting out of the way.
Yeah, and the cameras are just in there, and it's not that. I mean, you'd think it might be more difficult, but it's not.
Do you work closely too with the DPs?
Yes, I and the camera guys, the camera operators.
Yeah.
I'm really close with them. I'm probably closest with them. Because they're into the same kind of stuff I'm into. They're
into making it.
They're into composition and all lines and color and shadows. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in, being a painter. You know, so I relate to them, I think, the most out of the people on the set, and I usually get along very well with them, and I'm helping them out. Like if you need the lamp a little bit here, or that,
I think it was a learned thing for me of what do they need when they talk about cutting pieces, or like we can look through this and we can travel through this with foreground pieces. Yeah. I mean, you know that, but you don't when you're shopping it.
Yeah.
Like I specifically now will look for things like, oh, that's an opportunity that could work. That could work for them, instead of like, oh, they could shoot through this plant. You know what I mean? Like you want to be able to like, oh, this is a nice vase they could come off of, or.
It's also entirely arbitrary, really. I mean, you're making just choices. True. Like I production designed this one movie one time, and very low budget movie, and the director was like, in this character, there was a wall, and she's like, I want something like cold and sexual here. And I was like, okay. And so
what kind of sex are you having?
I was like, I was at the prop house, and I see all these big seashells. So I put a whole shelf of seashells on it. I was like, that looks cold and sexual.
Yeah, that actually.
There's a bunch of cold vaginas.
I think you nailed it. Cold fish? Yeah, I think you nailed it.
That's what I did. And that's, Yeah, and then another time,
interpreting notes from people sometimes is like, we want this to be organized chaos. Mm-hmm. That's the note I've gotten many times, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I can do that.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
And then it's funny just how this is. Another time I was also production designing this low budget thing, and the director's like, I need a logo on Jack's shirt. The whole thing took place in one day, so he'd be wearing it the whole time. He's like, I want a logo on his shirt. I was thinking, maybe money is the drug. And I was like, no, I mean, what is that? It's like a cliche on his shirt. Why? What?
Right.
And then I was like, I got it. No, I got it. Europe is dope. And that's what it said on the shirt. And I went back, the costume designer went home and, okay, Europe is dope, that's it. We're going with it. Yeah. And so the costume people went, and they made a shitty stencil, Europe is dope. I went home and hand did a silk screen.
For them to do?
And no, I did it.
Wow.
And I went to a thrift store and bought a used t-shirt. You can't just put it on a new shirt.
Right.
And it was nice, like, dull pink color. And I did black text on it, Europe is dope. And it was on almost every shot of the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were the costume designer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get into everything, pretty much.
Well, designers do, because I know the production designer who worked on Napoleon Dynamite, who came up with, like, Vote Pedro.
Yes.
He made up that shirt.
No,
I'm
it's
like,
a thing.
But and that type of thing, like, Are you making money from that? Like, do you know how much like
he
that
probably did,
became?
don't you think?
I don't think he. No, he didn't.
Well, I didn't make any money on Europe is Dope. I'll tell you that much.
See? So you were robbed.
I was robbed, but I was happy to put it in there. I was proud of it actually, and then. Also, I also put my image of my little sticker in my face. I sneak it in all the time. Yeah.
You have a silhouette sticker.
Yes, that I made myself.
That you made yourself of yourself. That's not narcissist at all. And you put it in at least dozens of shows.
I've put it in a few definitely, and it's made it in prominently in a couple.
Yeah,
in Parks and Rec and in VEEP.
Yes.
And
did we get it in here? Because they were only on Earth. Did you do it when they were
no, not Parks and Rec. I don't think I have it on Parks and Rec. I had it in The Good Place, not Parks and Rec.
Really?
I don't think I had it in Parks and Rec.
I think you did.
Well,
you had it back then.
I've had it for a while. It's true.
Yeah. It's just a little sticker if you can find it, a little Easter egg.
Yeah, it's a little Easter egg.
Jordan's little stamp of approval. Yeah. Been here.
Yep.
You pissed on it.
And then the producers, when they saw that it was shot, they were like, where did that sticker from? I was like, I made it. Don't worry. They thought they might get sued or something.
I know. You're lucky I haven't had to make you sign off on that.
Well, it would be up to me to sue them.
That is the thing of people coming you didn't use.
Yes.
I don't have.
Permission for this and that. Yeah, no, it's the legal department. There's a whole thing about it. Yeah.
We get that too. Murals. Murals.
Sure.
We have to get signed off.
Yeah,
on.
Out in the world. Yes.
Yeah. It's graffiti now. You can't see anybody's graffiti.
Well, my graffiti was in VEEP.
Oh, right. When she did the wall, right?
The wall outside the school in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's right.
Big tag.
Yeah, that was great. That's a great scene.
Yeah, and they're running around.
They just really walk right through it. Yeah. It's just a one shot.
It was great.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So you're also an artist.
Yes.
Obviously. And you use mixed media.
I do.
Mostly?
Yes, I do.
So what's your inspiration for that? Is that your outlet? I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I just always have been making stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think I need to do that. I mean, it is an outlet, definitely, without a doubt.
Yeah. Beautiful pieces.
Oh, thank you.
So artistic.
Much. You need to come and visit the studio. Bring the kids.
I've heard you've had a wonderful studio. People walk by and all of a sudden they're like, Jordan's studio. I just stumbled into it. Yes. Yeah. And so how did you get into you went to school for art.
Fine arts.
For fine arts.
For painting.
For painting.
Correct.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
In New York City in the mid to late 80s.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why did you come to LA? You didn't come to LA to work in TV and film?
No, I didn't know. I came out here just for a change. My brother had moved out here, and then my Uncle Tony had moved out here, and then another Uncle Dave was out here.
Everybody migrated.
Yeah, they had from New York, and so I was in New York, and I was just kind of kicking around, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to move to Germany for a while, and I did go to Germany. I was going to stay there for a year or whatever. I only stayed 3 months. I came back to New York because my brother's rock and roll band was playing there. And I stayed for a couple months, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to move to L.A. And I moved to L.A., and then just fell into this stuff. Since,
I think it was meant to be.
Mid-'93, I think I started doing this stuff.
Wow. Meant to be, man.
Yeah. And then, I didn't think I'd be here for this long, but Did
it take you long to get into the union?
Yeah, probably five years, something like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't, when I first got my 30 days on this show, and I was like, I'm not paying all that money, because I was working, I thought $100 a day. Wow, I'm doing good. And why do I need so I was like, that's like the mafia. I'm not going to join that.
You could make $120 a day being in the union.
Well, back then, yes. Yeah. So I didn't do it. And you're supposed to, once you become eligible, you're supposed to do it within a year of becoming eligible.
They only hold your days for a year.
Right.
Yeah.
It was way past a year. But I had an opportunity to work on a friend's union movie. I would have gotten a position. I called up and I spoke to Bobby Verdugo. I said, Bobby, listen, I've got the cash.
Coming in.
And Bobby was like, all right, come on in.
That's all they needed.
Yeah, they didn't care.
Europe is dope.
Europe is dope.
Yeah. You should have worn your Europe is dope shot.
I probably did.
Sure.
So then they let me in, and then I worked on Old School, and
how was Old School?
It was great.
Fun.
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I love that movie.
Yeah, I didn't do the main part of it. I did the reshoots.
Which is a whole big thing. I mean, recreating sets and...
Yep.
Unless it's new sets that they're adding in.
But... No, we're matching some stuff. And my friend Max Bisco was the art director. And that's probably one of my first ones.
That's crazy. Like, one of your first movies.
Yes.
Old school. Who knew? Like, that's...
Yes.
Well, we are coming to an end on this, which is so sad.
I know.
But I have no doubt I'll probably be calling you next week.
Well, please.
Although you're going to go do Sunnyside. I'm loaning you out.
Quick.
I'm loaning you out.
It's quick. It's only 8 episodes, I think, right?
But I have no doubt in the next couple months I'll be stealing you back.
Kim, keep me in mind. Please.
Keep you in mind. You're the only one.
Don't lose my number.
You're the only one.
Please.
The other on-set dressers I've worked with, I shouldn't say this.
Don't even...
Nice guys, but I'm not calling them.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Kim.
No.
I love working with you guys, and they're the best.
I can't, my crew is above and beyond, and you're always one of the first calls. Thank you so much for doing this.
It's fun. Thank you.
You're so
Thanks
awesome.
for asking me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you have the best stories because you're in the middle of the action. Are you kidding me?
Well, we'll have more today.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Of course.
Jordan is a great guy. It gets pretty hectic when they are prepping to shoot the set and moving big pieces of furniture around, scrambling to get the set back to what it was supposed to look like in a very short time. I mean, it's pressure. I couldn't do it. I know that. An on-set dresser is a vital position to me. You need to have a lot of trust in the person because you need to be on the same page so that the look comes through. Thank you for joining me. I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wanup for Decorating Pages. If you are enjoying this podcast, which I'm assuming if you are still listening, because this is pretty deep into the podcast, you like it. So please write a review on iTunes. It would really help me out. It's always great to hear from the audience, and thank you for listening. If you'd like to be up to date on our podcast schedule, please visit decoratingpagespodcast.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Decorating Pages is sponsored by Stogie Floaty, luxury pool floats. Float 'em if you got 'em. Visit stogiefloaty.com.